All right, good? All right, hey everybody, I'm Max Shultz. I'm a storyteller and stand-up comic, and I've been doing this for a couple of years. Fortunately, I don't think I've told my material to any of you except for Ben, who just went up, and you. Like 4 people here, but that's it. Normally it's more than that. So I'm doing all new stuff tonight, but to kind of go over who I am, I wrote a book that I'm just about finished with, and I have excerpts of that available. That looks like this. So come find me if you're interested. But what I'm doing tonight is not so much what I write about, but more shorter stories or shorter bits of stuff. And it's all new material tonight, so bear with me. So probably most of you have drank a Monster Energy drink before. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but all across the country there are Monster Energy gas stations. They're a chain of them. And Monster owns these. And that kind of makes sense. It's kind of an ironic thing, you know, Monster gives you energy, gives you your car, gas to go. The inverse, though, would scare me. I don't want to walk to Walmart and buy an Exxon Cola. For my next few bits, I need to explain a little bit. So usually what I do is just long stories are kind of my gimmick. And I've had a lot of criticism on some of them that they're really good stories. They just don't end very well. So I thought, you know, how can I have these stories end better? And did a lot of rewriting, reworking on them. And to make them end great would mean to change the story a little bit. So I need a little bit of your participation. I'll explain what I'm going to do in a minute, but just yell out household celebrity names.
Lamb.
Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart? That works.
It's a household, right?
Yeah, that works really well, actually. I like that a lot. We'll use Martha Stewart. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell these stories, as I always have, and they will just end abruptly, as they usually do, with me saying, Martha Stewart. I'll give you an example. I've worked in several pizza places in my life, and one of the ones I recently left, I worked with a guy named Khalil, who was my manager. And he used to like to screw around with this guy Mike by making fun of him. And one day, we were both kind of screwing with Mike, and Khalil had wanted to get into my stand-up act for years, and finally, he accidentally did it. So, I'm not a heterosexual man, nor am I a homosexual man. I'm pansexual, which kind of means I cater to all walks of life. That's never gotten applause before, but thank you. That is not the bit of the joke, although it is true. So we were screwing with Mike, or Khalil was screwing with Mike, and he goes, how do you look at your fingernails if you're just looking at them? And that middle school stupid joke that if you look at them like this, you're gay. If you look at them like this, you're not. And I walked in, and he said Max to it, and I knew what he was going for. So I looked at my hand like this, and you know, that's how it went. Martha Stewart. Thank you. I used to work at a bowling alley, and I would still work there, except it closed down. But all in all, it was one of the most rewarding jobs I'd ever had. And while I was working there, we had a bar. We sold beer and wine. And unfortunately, I smoke cigarettes. I know it's bad, but I don't need the lecture right now. I'm telling a story about cigarettes. So one day, I was out smoking a butt, and I came back in, and the guy I was working with was out doing something else. And there was a lady who was in the bowling league waiting patiently at the bar for her Pinot Grigio. And she was pissed at me. We were kind of friendly, but she was going, Max, why? I need my wine. Where have you been? What's going on? And Lynn, I'm so sorry. I just stepped outside for a cigarette real quick. I apologize. And normally when I say that, some people go, you know, oh, you're so young, you shouldn't smoke. You're ruining your life. What are you doing? And Lynn, however, had the best response to anybody. You're not being up best. The biggest response that caught me most off guard. Lynn goes, oh, good for you. How old are you? Smoke up. I miss smoking cigarettes. I wish you would smoke more. Continue smoking. I mean, quit later. But smoke as much as you want. I totally understand if you want to smoke like a pack right now. And I've never had anybody respond to me smoking so positively, so like she encouraged me to smoke more. Smoke a carton a day if you want. Now, who gives a crap? Martha Stewart. What's the other one? Oh, so recently, about 4 months ago, a friend of mine was in the hospital. It was a real crappy situation. I was sitting there with her in the emergency room for a little while. She had injured herself. And while I was in the hospital, I heard two things that I didn't think should be said in a hospital by a doctor. The first one was neither of these were to my friend, fortunately, but I watched a doctor walk down the hallway and to another doctor say the phrase, "Quick, it's a double emergency." I don't know what that is. And a different doctor, moments later, said the phrase, "Well, I think we're going to need to consult the anesthesia." I think that just means they're putting the patient to sleep so they don't have to deal with them. That's what I got out of that. Martha Stewart. So I mentioned I've worked in and out of pizza places for years, and I've delivered pizza for over 2 years now, and I love doing it. It's how I pay the bills, and this doesn't quite work all the time. And this past week, I delivered it to very similar but very different people. In other bits of mine, I go over the variety of spectrum of people who order pizza, and I kind of break them all down. But of those groups, I delivered to the two opposite ends of the spectrum of women who order pizza. That's not quite right. To the order of richer women who order pizza, that's not quite right. To the order of wealthier white women who order pizza. At one end of the spectrum, you have a woman I delivered to who lived in a nicer home, and she tipped me all right. And I went up there, and she had a smile on her face. She was having a good day. It was pleasant, and I didn't notice anything being weird about it until I looked down at her welcome mat, which you normally would say welcome, or life's a beach, or one of those catchphrases, said, and I quote, "Faux shizzle, welcome to my bizzle." And I couldn't get over it. The opposite end of the spectrum is I had a delivery the other day to 6 Portland Road. That's what my delivery slip said, the receipt I had for the customer. And in my town, that address doesn't exist. So I called the one and said, "Hey, I'm on Portland Road. I can't find it at number 6. Where are you?" And she goes, "Oh, where are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm by the YMCA on Portland Road. I can't find you." She goes, "Oh, no, I'm all the way across town by the college." And I, "Oh, but it's Portland Road, you're sure?" And she repeated back to me, "Yeah, Portland Road." All right. She gives me some very vague directions. I go over there. The street still doesn't exist, so I call her up and I say, "Hey, I must be very close to wherever you are, but I cannot find you anywhere. Can you spell the name of your street? It's Portland Road, right?" And she goes, "Yeah, Portland Road. Cortland. Cortland, like the apple." It wasn't that she spelled a different thing than she kept repeating. It was that she said Cortland, like the apple. I don't know what a Cortland apple is, and neither did anybody I work with. Martha Stewart, thanks for having me today. Thank you.